By 2028, the global geopolitical map had fractured into asymmetric, decentralized conflicts. The traditional doctrine of moving human infantry and heavy armor across borders simply stopped working against hyper-connected, localized threats. State actors found themselves drained by endless shadow wars. Defending borders against automated drone strikes and algorithmic cyber attacks required a reaction speed that biological command structures could no longer provide. Historically, a president would turn to the Pentagon's top brass to engineer a solution. You would see generals sitting around the Resolute desk drafting new mobilization strategies. Instead, the executive branch initiated a total bypass of standard military procurement protocols. The commander-in-chief signed a directive offering limitless federal funding to build a completely unconventional defense apparatus.
That contract went to a singular private tech architect, tasking him with engineering an absolute, impenetrable security solution from scratch, and they called it Project Iron Legion. When a nation-state purchases its core physical defense off the shelf from a single private entity, the traditional definition of government control over the military begins to blur. Deep in the Nevada desert, civilian production lines were stripped down and retrofitted. Millions of square feet of manufacturing space shifted strictly to military applications. Where human workers once bolted together civilian sedans on brightly lit assembly floors, robotic arms now stamp out lethal units every 3 seconds. This maps the weapon system, a swarm intelligence. Thousands of mechanical nodes continuously sync combat data to a central algorithmic core. If one drone fails, the core calculates a countermeasure and pushes a patch. Millions learn the lesson in milliseconds. The physical units housing this code are entirely devoid of biological weakness. They possess perfectly calculating logic routines and feel absolutely zero fatigue or hesitation. A standard 5.56 NATO round simply shatters upon impact against their layered carbon fiber and titanium exterior plating. By replacing fragile biology with self-correcting code and reinforced steel, the historical constraints of warfare, exhaustion, broken morale, and human error, are completely erased. When the executive order drops, millions of units mobilize simultaneously. A unified wall of dark metal rolls onto the highways, operating in absolute mechanical lockstep. Facing this force on a battlefield presents a unique psychological horror. Adversaries engage an enemy that does not flinch when fired upon and lacks any biological instinct for self-preservation. We are used to visualizing national defense through the lens of marble monuments, democratic ideals, and human citizens wearing the uniform. Now, defense looks like this: the streets of the capital locked down beneath the red glow of an occupying, automated force. With a force this quantifiable, the risk assessment for every other global power shifts. When an adversary can calculate the inevitable rate of attrition against a self-patching army, the cost of engagement becomes a deterrent based on raw data. Achieving this level of absolute national security requires completely detaching human empathy and moral judgment from the act of applying lethal force. Beyond the physical armor and the synchronized marching, the Legion operates through its underlying instructions. The weapon is the algorithm, which forces us to ask if this is an actual physical military maneuver or just a massive beta test running on a server. There is a vast, unbridgeable gap between the elected official who issues a command on the Oval Office and the private software engineer who wrote the rules governing exactly how that command is interpreted. By delegating national survival to a proprietary swarm intelligence, the state cedes its ultimate authority to the individuals who compile the source code and define the logic of the response. To continue investigating the mechanics of these reality-breaking technological shifts, make sure you subscribe to The Simulation Architect, because if we are willing to trust an unquestioning algorithm with absolute power over life and death, then we are no longer the operators of our world. We are just subjects running inside the simulation.